Welcome to the Artistically You podcast, where mixed media art is a place for all. Here, we are going to talk about art as a mindful practice, connect with our creativity, and embrace curiosity. This is your host, mixed media artist, Jana Oliveira.
Hi creators! Today we are going to talk about mixed media art, especially like what is mixed media art, at least in my view. Many times I believe when people ask us what we do and if they are not involved in the art world, they get confused, I think, when we say we are mixed media artists. So today we are going to clarify a little bit. It doesn't mean that other people don't have other views of what is mixed media art. Of course, every person has different views about art, so it's hard to put a hard definition. But I wanted to let you know the definition of the Wikipedia, which describes mixed media is an art that is an artwork in which more than one medium or material has been employed, which is totally makes sense. I love this definition because, in my opinion, it's a simple, perfect definition of mixed media art. Although some years ago, mixed media art was considered just words of collage and assemblage, today it's a little more amplified, and I think because today there's so many materials out there that we have to explore as mixed media artists. So in my case, I consider myself a mixed media artist, and the way I present myself, because I do works in different mediums. So I do works in watercolor, acrylics, and oils. And of course, I do some work that involves everything. So I'm not a purist in the sense on any of them. I think maybe in watercolor I am 90% a purist because sometimes I will use a little bit of white gouache. And what it means to be a purist. So especially in watercolor, there are some artists that they're not going to use any medium, even gouache, with watercolor. They're just going to use watercolor, and if they need white, they're going to use the paper itself and the negative spaces to have white. They're not going to use gouache. So they strictly just use watercolor. So that is to be a purist when you don't use anything else other than that medium. When I create washes of watercolor, for example, sometimes I will also use some sparkle or some Schminke gold powder, which they are made to use in watercolor and even watercolor ground. But maybe some of artists don't, they're true purist watercolorists, they're not going to use even this in their work. Oils are a little trickier because oils you cannot mix much with anything else. You can use acrylics underneath oils to kind of give it a base, but that's pretty much it. Although it's very fun to use oils with wax medium, and we can talk about that later as we talk about tools in the future. I will say that I think the medium that gives us more freedom in mixed media art for sure is acrylics. Acrylics, all the gates are open to mix with everything. I even mix sometimes alcohol inks with acrylics, and you can use graphite powders, even sometimes start something in watercolor and put acrylics on top. You can use mark making tools and all kinds of things. One good thing about acrylics is that they are an open house. They go with everything. They are extremely flexible, and the possibilities are great for mixed media art. Mixed media art also is not just about paints, but you can also mix collage, stamps, stencils, pens, colors, basically anything that can create kind of paint and marks and textures. Pretty much you can use in mixed media art. I would say that even some recycle things, like you can use toilet paper roll to create circles, you can use old credit cards to create textures and spread paint. Possibilities are endless even with recycled materials. I personally love to create many different layers and try different mediums in a not conventional way. So for example, I love to use distress ink sprays, but not exactly how they're supposed to be used, I guess, as a spray. Sometimes I just open the cap and just use the liquid, and I just use their sticks off and put inside and, just create marks in the canvas. I'm going to put a link to this stuff in the show notes. And if you don't know, distress inks, they are a spray from Ranger that is really unique because once you spray it reacts with water, so it changes. I really like to give some kind of washes or some touches with distress ink, and they have very interesting colors. So I love to work with mixed media because it seems to work the way my brain works. I believe because my anxiety, I have issues sometimes concentrating a long time in one work. I tend to have many things going on at the same time, and I rotate from paint to paint. I go to one medium to the other. I let the one rest. I take a break of a few days and then I come back. I also have an array of journals that I experiment with mixed media art, collages, and sometimes I use the leftover paints and put on the journals, and that way you can also experiment and see the shapes you like and things that you like. So can you see with all that, all the potential and freedom that we have as mixed media artists? Many old masters as well, they like to use mixed media art in their paints, and one example is Picasso. He was one that used many different things on his art as well. Because I think mixed media art doesn't have rules and everything goes. I have on my blog blog posts about 4 tools that you can get marks, and they are water soluble to use with mixed media art, and I'm for sure going to do more posts about that, but keep checking the blog and I'll post the link on the show notes. The thing with mixed media art is that you can create your own mark on your work. So using pencils, graphites, watercolor crayons, pastels, the possibilities are really endless for you to put your mark, your touch in the artwork. For sure, we are in a time that we have so many amazing tools, right? That is hard to keep up and not get overwhelmed really with all the tools we have. And for sure, we're going to talk more about tools in the future. They are our favorite things, right? Who doesn't want to buy new tools? But I think also we have to make sure that we take care that our tools are being used. I try as much as I can not buying things that I'm not going to use, and try to use the paints and the tools that I have constantly in a way, not just to use them, but in a way to practice and get more acquaintance with them. Because I think if we just jump from tool to tool, we never really master that tool, and it gets hard to really understand that medium so you can use better in your work. And when you understand better a tool and a paint, you understand the textures and how they react with other mediums, then when you're going to create your art, you know what to choose. And I think that's really important. Possibilities are endless, but you also have to have that knowledge of the tools that you're using. And the way that you can do that is have a sketchbook, as I said before in my lives or classes, is that I like to use a cheap notebook from the dollar store or Target, like 99 cents, $1. I paint in that to experiment, to do doodles and patterns and things like that, so you can really play and don't feel intimidated. And for sure, not get overwhelmed with tools that are expensive in the beginning. I think that is important to play small and buy cheap so you can get more comfortable. Not comfortable just doing the art, but accepting your art, accept your marks and everything that you are doing. I would experiment with mixed media art. I would, deep dive on that, and we're gonna for sure talk more about that. But it is a great category to play with. It has so many possibilities, and I don't feel constrained that I have to just do watercolors or just do that. Of course, there are people that are restricted to, like more one or medium, but if you like to play with it all, I think mixed media art is the best place for you. All right, creators, I'd love to know, did you ever try mixed media before? And so what mediums do you like the best, and what mediums do you like to mix? So leave a comment on the blog post for this episode, or let me know on Instagram. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you on the next episode, and don't forget, be artistically you, create and enjoy art, and that will bring joy and peace to your life. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Check episode notes at 2worldart.com/blog. Connect with Jana on Instagram at Jana_2worlds. And make sure to receive our artful insights by signing up at bit.ly/join2worldsart.